Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our pension information seminar. I hope you'll find this valuable, and every so often during the presentation, there is a chance for you to ask some questions. So if you think of a question, maybe jot it down and save it until we get to that point, and we may cover what you're going to ask about in the slides that we reach before you get to that point. And if not, then please feel free to ask. So to start off with, we'll explain that there are two different basic types of pension plans. A defined contribution plan, and with that kind of a plan, you know what the contributions are that are going in, but you don't know what kind of an income you can provide for yourself at the end of the road when it's time to retire. And I say provide for yourself because most times people don't purchase an annuity with that. It's just money in an account, just like an RRSP account. And whatever income you can provide is dependent upon the kinds of investments you have and how much you take out each year. Now, what we have at the church is a contributory defined benefit plan. We know what the contributions are, and we know roughly what the benefits will be at the end, because our benefit is based on a formula, and it's not based on our contributions. Some people get that mixed up, and they think that the contributions are what they're entitled to when they leave the plan. And your benefit is actually worth quite a lot more than that, because it's something that you will receive for the rest of your life from retirement onward. So who is a member? Ministry personnel and all regular lay employees working on average 14 hours or more per week. The reason we say regular is because if you were working on a fixed term contract, you wouldn't be required to join the pension plan. Your pension benefits and your contributions are calculated using the annual pensionable earnings. And for ministry personnel and lay employees, most people, 100% of your salary is the same as your pensionable earnings. If you happen to be ministry personnel who live in a manse, 140% of your salary is how we arrive at your pensionable earnings. Members contribute 6% of pensionable earnings, and employers contribute 9% of pensionable earnings on behalf of each of their employees. Pension disability credits. This is a very valuable thing. If you become disabled and qualify for benefits under our long-term disability plan, you will continue to earn pension credits and you will not have to make pension contributions as long as you continue to receive the long-term disability. Each year, you earn a percentage of your pensionable earnings as a pension credit. Before January 1st, 2020, the rate was 1.4% of pensionable earnings. That percentage has changed over the years as the pension board reviews it at the end of each year, or near the end of each year. In 2020, it was 1.85%. In 2021, it was 1.625%. And between 2022 and 2025 each year, it has been 1.85%. In 2026, the default rate is 1.4% unless another augmentation is given to that accrual rate. And the pension board and the pension plan advisory committee will be considering that this fall. So let's have an example, and we'll call this person Reverend J. Jay's pensionable earnings are $75,000. Members contribute 6%, as we've already mentioned, and employers contribute 9% on behalf of each eligible employee. We have a career average pension plan, so as your pensionable earnings change, so do your contributions and the employer's contributions. For an example, on $75,000 of pensionable earnings, and a 12-month, a monthly payroll system, you would earn, or Jay would earn, $6,250 per month. So Jay contributes $375 monthly, 6% of that $6,250, which is $375. And the employer contributes $562.50 monthly. 9% of $6,250 is $562.50. So that's the contributions that go in. For easy figuring, let's assume that Jay's salary remains constant at $75,000. In real life, it wouldn't happen, but it's a lot easier to do the math. So in 2020, Jay earned 1.85% of the $75,000, or $1,387.50. In 2021, they earned 1.625% because their accrual rate was slightly different. And that gave them $1,237.50. And for each year between 2022 and 2025, it was 1.85% of 75,000, which is $1,387.50 per year. And in 2026 and in future years, if it goes back to the default amount, it would be $1,050 in each of those years. Each year's pension credit is added to what was already earned, forming the total amount of annual pension at termination or retirement. I like to compare this to a wall, like we have bricks. And the first brick is the pension credit that you earned the first year that you worked at the church. And then the next brick gets piled on top of that, and so on. And then you end up with the same number of bricks as the number of years of credited service that you have. So similar to the bricks, we see all these numbers piled on top of each other. So after working for 10 years, Jay earns an annual pension of $12,375. And that would be paid for every year for the rest of their life if they retire at age 65. Now, if they are not 65 after 10 years and they continue to work longer, they might have 30 years of service or however many years of service. And of course, that would continue to grow. What about future increases, sorry. Some pension plans have automatic increases once a person retires, and that is called indexing. Those plans generally have higher contribution rates than we have, and there is no automatic indexing in our plan. Your pension statement, the most detailed pension information specific to you. To make changes to your personal information or to ask questions about your specific pension and benefits, contact the Benefits Center, and you can use those email addresses, which we can repeat again later in the presentation. So here's an example statement. The writing gets a little bit small. So for this person, this is their 2023 statement. In that year, they earned $2,247 in 2023. They are projected, the total amount that they have earned during the period that they've been working, not just 1 year, is $14,097. They're projected to earn another $6,193 between now and age 65, between the time that this statement was issued and age 65. Now, the next figure that's shown is the maximum Canada pension benefit that a person could receive at that time. I do caution members that not everyone receives the maximum Canada pension. In order to receive the maximum Canada pension amount, you would need to work for 39 years, making at least the year's maximum pensionable earnings amount in each of those years. There is a provision to drop out the lowest 10 years of contributions. So that ends up being really 29 years, but still not everyone has that when the time comes. And then the maximum old age security amount that someone could receive at the end of 2023 was 8,560. So if you took all of those amounts, the amount that you would be getting from the pension plan and the amounts from old age security and Canada Pension, this person could look forward to a retirement income of 45,225 if they got the maximum Canada Pension and old age security. Now, does anyone have any questions?
I do, Shanae.
Sure.
I'm sorry, my camera's not working.
That's okay.
I wanted to ask, I'm 3 years in ministry and I've already turned 71. Is there, and I'm contributing to the pension plan and plan to work for another 10 years if healthy. Does my accumulating pension continue?
You need to start taking payments from the pension plan and from any other tax deferred savings plans that you have, if you had any other pension plans or any RRSPs, by the end of the year in which you turn 71. And for our pension plan, payments are made on the first day of the month. So you would need to start receiving your pension by December 1st of the year in which you turn 71, and you cannot contribute to the plan after that time.
So then I have to advise the pastoral charge that I'm working with then that
Well,
they no longer contribute.
yes, well, they would know that by your age, but still, yes, that's true. But you also need to contact the benefit center and they'll send you an option package on how to start the payments, or you might qualify for a small benefit, which means a lump sum out of the plan instead, because you've had
Okay.
such a short service.
All right, great. Thank you.
Anything else?
I have a question. It's Catherine McDonald. I'm wondering why on the pension statements that you use the maximum amounts for the CPP and OAS. Why do you include those at all? Because those are really misleading.
Well, that's a question that I've asked, to be quite honest with you. This is the way it's been shown since way before I joined the church. I've only been here for 11 years. And whenever you change something, you run the risk of making it seem like you actually personally have changed something. So here's what I mean. If we were to stop showing them, or to maybe show the average instead of the maximum, people would look at their statement from last year and look at their statement from the current year that they just received and think, oh, you've taken something away. Not everyone would do that, but some people would do that and wouldn't read it carefully and would get all upset. And so that's one of the risks that we run. I may have this conversation with people again and debate it again. I know that there were some people who said a lot of plans show the maximum Canada pension. The thing is, other plans may have a more highly paid workforce as well. So I think if you're a member of OMERS or something, the Ontario Municipal Employees, that's one thing. Most people are unionized, they make a lot of money on average, and they're more likely to make the maximum. And so I think maybe we may look at changing that in the future.
Yeah, because I think this might give people a false sense of security.
There is that too. And yes, I'm concerned about that as well, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather see the minimum. It's John Neff here.
We'd like to be conservative and at least be ready for less, under promise and over deliver.
Exactly.
Yeah. I will bring that up again and see if maybe we want to change that going forward.
I have a question too. It's Catherine Collins-Barker. And my
Okay.
question is, it's about something what you just mentioned about the maximum of the CPP and OAS. But one of the things is when you mentioned about how many years of contribution, you say that's not a total factor. Okay, or is it a part of a factor towards your whole benefit package? Like
I
say
don't
when
know
I
what,
talk about 30, I mean, I've been in ministry for a long time. So a difference of 6 months, how much of that will make a difference in your overall package?
it might not make very much difference at all. The only reason why 6 months would make a big difference is if you wanted to retire early and you were just on the cusp of maybe qualifying for unreduced early retirement, then it would really make a difference. Other than that, it would make a very incremental difference.
Okay. And if that be the case, under that 6 months period, is there a way to contribute towards that so you can get to the maximum after between that 6 months?
I, do you mean continue working or
No,
what do you
if
mean?
if I wanted to do an early retirement and yet I'm like 6 months before that, I want to retire 6 months before the actual time when I could get the maximum, can I contribute towards that 6 months that's I'm not going to
No,
be working?
you can't put money in any pension. This is not a rule that we've made,
Okay,
but you can't contribute to a pension plan for a period of service when you really didn't work. You have to have a period of service to um, make you eligible to make that contribution and to get that credited service. And CRA, I like to say CRA is the income tax outfit, right?
Yep.
So they are interested in making sure that we don't tax shelter too much money. The provinces have pension regulators and they look at it a different way. They are more interested in making sure that we don't live in poverty in retirement. But CRA doesn't care if we live in poverty. Their mandate is to make sure we don't tax shelter too much money. So when you're looking at putting money into a pension plan or buying back service or something, there has to be a period of actual working
Mhm.
to, or being on disability, and that's an exception, um, to qualify you for getting credit for that time, or else CRA won't allow it.
All right.
I have a question. My name is Deborah Springer.
Okay.
Do we have an option of a payout of our pension amount?
The only way that you mean in a lump sum.
Yep.
If you have a very small pension amount and you qualify for the small benefit amount, you could then get it under a lump sum.
And what is the classification for that?
It's a percentage, it depends on the province that you're in, and it's a percentage of the year's maximum pensionable earnings. You'd have to, and you have to terminate service too. You can't just take money out of a pension plan without an event. There has to be an event, death, retirement, or termination of service.
Right. So I'm talking a retired, somebody who's retiring.
Well, first of all, if you're retiring, you also cannot take money out. You can't transfer your money out on termination if you're over 55. If you're under 55, you could transfer it out of the plan and put it in an RRSP. But at retirement, that seems to say that you're 55 or older, then it's only the small benefit rule that would ever qualify you. So if you have a lot of years of service, it's unlikely that that's going to happen.
Thank you.
I see one member has said that a couple of employees have applied for their pension and have not heard anything, and it's been going on a long time. So maybe you could, after the session, you could send an email to me and with those people's names and specifics, and then I can contact the pension team for you and look into what's happening there. We can't look into specifics during this call, but I can help out a little bit afterwards.
Okay, so it's Deborah Springer again.
Okay.
So that this seems to be a recurring issue with the pension plan. So that people are not getting their forms timely, are not receiving pensions timely.
Right.
Is there an issue? Why is this happening?
Well, the pension team is getting used to the new admin system, which has been launched. And they're learning, there are some bugs in it and they're getting that fixed. And also there has been some turnover. So we do apologize for that. And there's a real effort going on to make sure that this is all up to date by the end of the year.
Thank you.
I don't mean I'm not saying that an individual who already has their request in right now will need to wait until the end of the year. I'm saying that they're working to get rid of the backlog and be right up to date by the end of the year. There may be some terminations of people that are not even interested. It might be small amounts and they may have even forgotten about having money with us, and that's included in the backlog. It's not all people waiting for their retirement, certainly.
Okay, so just an example for you. I put my notice to retirement in April. And the first person I talked to told me I would receive my pension package to be filled out in June. When it didn't come, I phoned again, and the next person told me that it would be the end of August. Well, I still haven't received a pension package.
Okay, well, that is very unfortunate. So please, I see that Stephanie has put my email address up there. By all means, send me a message. Tomorrow I have a meeting that takes up half the day, so I may not be able to get back to people tomorrow, but I will certainly do so before the end of the week. And I'll do that by copying management of the pension team and asking them to follow up and copy me when it goes out. Okay, I think we should probably move on to the next slide.
Sorry, Sheena. Ross Bartlett has a question as well. He has his hand up.
Just a very quick question.
Okay.
It used to be possible that, and I believe it was age 55, one could withdraw the entire amount from the pension plan. Does that still exist?
Well, if you terminate service and you stop working for a participating employer before you're age 55, you could opt to transfer your entitlement out of the plan.
Okay.
But you can't just terminate on a Friday in order to get the money out of the plan and then start working again on the Monday. It has to be a real termination, you know what I mean?
It used to be that there was a 3-month period in there where you couldn't draw a United Church salary.
Yes, there is a waiting period where you can't come back, because that again is, we'll get into that later when we get to the retirement section, but CRA again expects this to be an actual pension plan whose purpose is to provide an income in retirement.
Right.
And that means that we can't have people sort of terminating, but already making arrangements to come back just so that they can take the money out. And it's also in the age 55 rule was instituted for the protection of members, because we did have a situation where there was a financial planner. I'm not sure exactly what the time period, it was before my tenure with this church, and was convincing people to take their money out of the pension plan so that person could get more assets under management. And then there was a market downturn right after that. And then members wanted to come back and they couldn't do that. So they were out of the pension plan. They had their money, but it had then gone down in value and they were unhappy. So we don't want that to happen. And as you get closer to retirement, that prohibition is in the plan. Okay, let's get to the next slide. All right, so leaving your employment. If you're over age 55, you cannot transfer the value of your promised pension to a locked-in retirement savings plan. You have to leave the money in the plan and you become a deferred member. If you're under age 55, you could leave the money in the plan if you choose to, or you can transfer it to a locked-in retirement savings plan. or the plan of another employer that you may be joining if they accept the transfer. Okay, so when to retire? You could retire early. You may qualify for unreduced early retirement. There's normal retirement at age 65, or you may postpone your retirement. So early retirement, your benefit would be lower than what was shown on your annual pension statement because you'd be getting extra payments before age 65 and have received them for a longer period of time. Your pension would be reduced by 0.33% per month for every month between the date payments begin and the date you would have turned age 65. And that's a 4% reduction per year. So if your earned pension at age 65 is $1,000 per month, but you retire at age 64, you will receive $960 per month, which is a 4% reduction. Again, for easy figuring. Unreduced early retirement. There are a few ways in which you could qualify for unreduced early retirement. So if you've reached age 60 when you terminate employment and you have 35 years of credited service, you could get unreduced early retirement. If you have reached age 55 when you terminate employment, have 35 years of credited service, but you wait until age 60 to begin receiving your pension. Or if you joined the plan before 1988, so a long service employee, you have reached age 55 when you terminate employment, and you have 40 years of credited service. Then you would have unreduced early retirement. So normal retirement. The benefit amount is estimated to be the same as the amount on your statement. The estimate on your annual statement assumes that you will begin receiving pension at age 65. It's also based on the assumption that you will remain in the same or a similar job until age 65. If you were to move to a part-time job or get a big promotion, you would earn different sized pension credits for the remaining years. So that projected amount on your statement would be different from what was shown. It's an estimate based on things remaining largely the same. So postponed retirement. If you continue working with a participating employer after age 65, your pension will begin after you terminate employment. It must begin no later than December 1st of the year in which you turn age 71, even if you are still working. So that's the question that someone already asked. Postponed retirement. Your pension would be higher than that shown on your statement. Your monthly pension amount will be increased in two different ways. If you continue to work, you earn additional pension credits. And for each month that you postpone retirement beyond age 65, the pension earned to age 65 is increased to reflect the shorter payout period that you could look forward to, and the fact that the money stayed in the plan longer. Retirement before age 71 is optional. If you elect or choose to take pension before age 71, you must have a break in employment and end your call or appointment to meet CRA requirements. And you could only accept an appointment going forward, not a call. At age 71, there's no need to cease employment, and you can stay in your call or appointment. There are other considerations as you approach retirement as well. If you move to another province, sometimes people do that to be closer to their friends or their children. There may be a waiting period for provincial health coverage. How will you live into retirement? What do you have planned to do? How can you stay involved in your community? What new activities will you try? There's a course for ministry personnel, Boundaries Refresher, and you could register through ChurchX. For lay employees, we don't have any current courses offered, but there are resources available on the internet or in your community. Challenges in transitioning from work to retirement. There could be emotional and psychological challenges. You wake up and you think, oh, what am I going to do with my day? That there's less structure, and that may be great, or some people may find it a challenge. Financial challenges, or just maybe the fear of financial challenges. It's okay in the abstract to think that you have enough money to live on, but as you get closer, it can get a little bit daunting to think about it. And do I really? Is it going to be okay? I think that most people, unless they're extremely wealthy, have that kind of worry. Social and lifestyle adjustments and health and well-being. It's important to remain physically active and socially active. It really does make a big difference to your health. So for the emotional and psychological challenges, loss of identity, our jobs are a big portion of our identity sometimes, and it's hard to lose that. Might be good to line up a new activity or volunteer opportunity before retirement so that you'd still have something to do that would make you feel like your days are well spent. Loneliness and isolation. If you don't work from home, I work from home all the time, so I don't have a lot of colleagues that I interact with. But if you do work in an office or in a church, you will be meeting people all the time there, and you might miss that. So it could have an effect on your mental health, and you need to maybe plan for that ahead of time. Financial challenges, budgeting, healthcare costs. We have our group insurance. Do you sign up for the group insurance for retirees or not? And what other healthcare costs might come up over time? And investment management. When you have your own accounts to take money out of, which ones do you use first? How much do you take out? How much do you feel it's safe to take out at a time? None of us want to outlive our money, that's for sure. So social networks are important, daily structure, hobbies and interests. And for the health and well-being side, physical health, mental stimulation, and regular checkups, which during our working lives we need to do too, and sometimes we're remiss in that regard. So retirement is an opportunity to embrace change. You need to plan ahead, stay active, and seek support. I find personally in my own friend group that women have each other to talk to, and men tend to have a lot of solitary activities. So I'm a little bit less worried personally about what I'll do when I'm retired, because I have girlfriends. We all go to exercise classes together. We do volunteer activities together as well, even now before I've retired. And men will do things like woodworking a lot of times, or home repairs. And that doesn't bring them into a group of other men. It's more of a solitary activity. Not always, but in a lot of cases. Engaging in continuous learning can be helpful as well. So when you're ready to retire, consult a financial planner, and they can help you with the budgeting and looking at your sources of income and how much you're likely to have. And as I said, if you have RRSP money and some money that's not in an RRSP, like in TFSAs, they'll help you plan which to use first and how much to use at a time. And so 6 months before your retirement date, you should contact Service Canada. 4 months before your retirement date, you should contact the Benefits Center. I hear some people have contacted them even before that, but as I said, I'll help out as much as I can. If you can send me an email, I will ask them to follow up on any packages that may have already been sent out or may not have already been sent out. So beginning to receive your pension. Your pension will be deposited directly into your Canadian bank account on the first bank business day of each month. If you live outside of Canada, please coordinate with your international bank regarding their processing schedule for foreign wire transfers. Some people live outside of Canada half the year, or maybe less so than they used to with things south of the border, but in any case, a lot of people still do, or some people actually move away entirely, maybe to their country of origin. So for ministry personnel, there is a new form online which replaces the form PR 443, and it's through Church Hub. So when you indicate a change in pastoral relations, choose retirement as the reason, and the following screen will appear. And this is for you to let the Office of Vocation know and your region. And then you will be asked to confirm the following. And the reason for change in pastoral relations would be retirement. And you need to then check one of the three options there under number 7 as well. And next slide. So in retirement, there are usually, or we hope that there are, several sources of income. So there's the United Church Pension Plan, any personal savings, RRSPs, TFSAs, and then the government programs that we've already touched on. So Canada Pension, in October 2024, the average monthly amount received by new recipients starting their pension at age 65 was approximately $808.14. In January 2025, the maximum monthly amount you could receive if you started your pension at age 65 was $1,433. And we already touched on this, that there's a difference between the average and the maximum, and perhaps we should be showing the average on our statements rather than the maximum. So contributions are based on employment income, subject to minimum and maximum amounts, and are shared equally between the employer and employee. The YMPE, the year's maximum pensionable earnings, the first CPP earnings ceiling is $71,300 for 2025. The year's additional maximum pensionable earnings, the second earnings ceiling, will be $81,200 for 2025. Now, that is in order to make a more meaningful CPP for higher income earners. Then there's the CPP enhancement, and I don't know whether I should go into too much detail about this. Most of us, well, all of us, will be eligible for part of this. But to get the full benefit from the CPP enhancement, you'd have to be a person who's about 18 now and starting your career so that you would benefit from it throughout your whole career. So for all of us on the call, unless I didn't see someone, everyone seems to be sort of in my demographic. And that means that we'll get a little bit maybe from the CPP enhancement, but it won't be that meaningful. Our children will benefit more from it, and maybe even grandchildren will fully benefit from it. So there's a helpful video. I can send you this link because you don't have these slides. This is the slide that we're showing here. But it's basically a little description about the CPP and how if you leave the money in it longer, your benefit, your monthly amounts would go up. Now, that's true, but I like to remember that if you're a single person and you only receive your CPP for a few years, no one gets any of it afterwards. It's not like the pension plan where there's a guarantee period and the rest of those guaranteed payments would go to a beneficiary. And even if you have a spouse, if that spouse was receiving anything close to the maximum, they would only get the amount of your pension that would bring them to that maximum. So you need to think about it both ways, that it's fine to let your monthly amounts grow, and that's great if you're still working. But there won't be much of a death benefit. So there's the other school of thought that a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. So there's no right or wrong answer. It's just up to you to think about it and make the best guess for your situation. Old age security. So employment history is not a factor for old age security. You can receive the old age security pension even if you've never worked or are still working. The only group that really would not get a maximum old age security is new Canadians, people who maybe not that new, but who came here as adults and may not have 40 years of living in Canada when the time comes to get old age security. They wouldn't get the full benefit. So it's something to be aware of if that's your situation. So if you're living in Canada, you must be 65 years or older. You must be a Canadian citizen or a legal resident at the time that we say we, but that's the government speaking. This was from their website. Approve the OAS pension application and have resided in Canada for at least 10 years since the age of 18, at least 10 years to get any old age security, but you have to be 40 years in order to get the full. If you're living outside of Canada, you must be 65 years or older. You must be a Canadian citizen or legal resident, same thing, on the day that before you left Canada, and have resided in Canada for at least 20 years since the age of 18. Old age security pension amounts, January to March 2025. So they're quarterly, they're reviewed quarterly, so that's why we have to pick a quarter to talk about. So for people aged 65 to 74, the monthly maximum would be $727.67. And to receive OAS, your annual net world income in 2023 must be less than 142,609. Now that's to receive any OAS, but if you have income of, I'm not sure exactly what it is, 80 something thousand, I believe, it'll start to get clawed back and you will lose some of it. Now, for people 75 and over, they get an increase. So they would, the maximum monthly amount would be $800.44, and that ceiling would be $148,179. That if you earn that much in earned income, you don't get any CPP. So I think that's enough detail there. We can go to the next slide. You will receive your first old age security payment either the month after you turn age 65 or the specific date that you have chosen. You can receive a higher amount for each month if you delay your payments. You can delay your payments for up to 60 months, 5 years, after your age 65. The longer you delay, the larger your pension payment will be. After age 70, there's no advantage in delaying your first payment. In fact, you risk losing benefits because you miss out on those months and you won't get them retroactively. If you want to delay your first payment, you need to be proactive about it and let them know that, or else they'll start. Does anyone have questions?
This is a very small point. Going back to the form you showed, we have to fill in for, I guess it's Office of Vocations, indicating our intention to retire. I've already done that. I've received the packet. I checked retirement. I intend to keep on working. There was no place to indicate this. Was that necessary? I wrote it in the remarks box at the bottom of the form. After 71.
I'd have to go back and look at what those three options were. Let's see that there.
That applies, it seems like, to those who are retiring and becoming either retired or later on re-engaged.
So did you check one of the boxes down below? In
6, I
providing
checked
notice of my
retirement.
intent.
7, no, I didn't see that as applying to me, so I didn't. I'm planning to be a re-engaged pensioner who's drawing my pension. That's not what I had in mind.
Okay.
I know about the 13 weeks. There's no discussion or consideration of any return to work until after my retirement date. And even then, only on terms and conditions that are substantially different from those terms that applied prior to my retirement. So that didn't seem to
If you're
apply
staying
to
in the
people who
same
are just going to
job-
go on working.
You're just going on working, but you're going to receive your pension?
Yeah, that's what I understood I was doing.
Um,
Because you had said earlier that CRA doesn't require, oh God, now I've got it forgotten already.
if you're 71, are you 71?
I will turn 71 in December, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because otherwise you wouldn't be allowed to do that.
Oh, yeah, that
Um,
part I understood.
Right. Okay. 'Cause I was a little concerned there for a minute.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that part I understood.
Okay.
Our regional
Um,
minister was very kind in explaining all that to me one day in a conversation.
Okay. So yeah, none of that is required because you're over 71.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it, but I guess we should ask, this is not our form, but the
Yeah.
Office of Vocation may want to, I don't know, change the wording to
yeah,
explain that we realize that if you're 71 or more, you don't
Yeah.
need to maybe put a question in that says, are you turning 71 this
Yeah.
year? And
Yeah.
if so, question 7 doesn't come up.
yeah. So, because I'm planning, well, probably another year or two anyway,
Right.
and
Well,
then,
that's up to
give
you
it all up.
because you're right. If you're 71, you don't need to answer this. But you don't need to worry about it because they know that. It's just that this screen or this, well, yeah, it is a screen, might benefit from having that added in there to say,
Mhm.
don't worry about
Yeah.
question 7 if you are turning 71
Okay.
already.
Well, like I said, there was a remarks box at the bottom, so I just typed in there, I plan to go on working.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for mentioning that though.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay, maybe we can go
So
back to where we
my-
were. Pardon?
No, if you probably keep it there. My question is similar, though I'm turning 65. And I think I've been misinformed because from what you've been saying and what I've been hearing, but I did a sabbatical and met with regional staff around retirement and can I move to half-time? And I was told that as long as my job description didn't change, my call didn't change, that I could do that without having the 13-week break. But I'm getting a sense that that is not correct.
But wait, you're going to go to half-time. That's nothing to do with us, but are you starting your pension?
Yes, I'm going to retire officially at 65, but I want to continue working half-time where I am.
Right, well then that's not really the way it's supposed to be, no.
Okay.
So, could you send me an email, please, following the session? And this is something I'll have to
Yeah,
discuss with the team.
I sent an email to pensions. I'll just copy that one to you as well.
Yes, please.
Great, thank you.
There was also a question in the chat. When you reference years of service, is that defined as full-time or any configuration of part-time and or full-time?
For years of service, if we're trying to decide whether you have 35 years of service for unreduced early retirement and the like, it doesn't matter whether it's part-time or full-time. The only difference is, of course, the pension credit, like the little bricks that I talked about, are going to be smaller if your earnings are smaller, but it doesn't affect the number of credited years of service. So the disadvantage to your pension of working part-time is that your earnings are lower, so you're earning pension on a lower amount. So your pension credit would be lower for that year, but it's still a year of credited service.
Thank you, Tina Cote. That was my question, but I now have a follow-up, just to make sure that I'm not confused around the 71 and all of that.
Okay.
I will be turning 71 at the end of December, and I'm continuing my employment in the same place, so there's no change in the pastoral relationship. Other
Right.
than, actually next week, there's a congregational meeting to reduce my hours from 20 to 15. So I'm assuming, and I've been in touch and in conversation with the pension folks. So I'm assuming I don't even have to look at that form that you had from Church Hub there. Is that correct?
I don't know whether they still want you to fill in that form. That's not our form, as I said.
Because
But-
the question at the top says, if you're in, if there's no change in the past, I think it is reason for the change in pastoral relations. Well, there is no change in the pastoral relations, right?
Well, maybe that's why it didn't really apply to the other gentleman who was filling
Right.
it out. I'm not 100% sure whether the Office of Vocation intended for people who've turned 71 to fill in this form at all. Maybe not. Maybe
Oh.
that's why we don't have to say question 7 doesn't apply to you.
Hmm.
Because they didn't really tell me whether that was their intention or not.
Right.
But
right.
basically, you're right. Your job isn't changing because of this. You just need to start taking your pension because CRA says so. And you'll start taking your pension. You'll keep doing your job like you always did.
Right, which is being
And-
modified now, not in December when I turned 71. So it has nothing to do with the age thing. It's actually just being done now for a couple of reasons, including the need of pastoral charge.
But that has not, I
That
don't
has
know
nothing to
whether
do
the
with the
Office of Vocation needs to know that or not.
I think there is a different section where you outline the number of hours you work and things like that, just from your profile kind of thing. But
Okay.
for the pension end of it, I didn't feel like that question was pertinent.
No, that has nothing to do with the pension plan.
Okay.
You have to stop contributing and your employer has to stop contributing because you're 71. And you
Right.
have to start receiving your payments because you're 71, but your job doesn't change because of that. Now, the fact that you say your job is changing a little bit for other reasons has nothing to do with the pension plan
Okay,
or
I
CRA.
just- Okay, I just wanted to double check that. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I think we can pick up where we left off. All right. So as a retired member, you may be eligible to join the pensioner health and dental plans as long as you remain eligible for provincial health coverage. So if you move out of the country and you're no longer eligible for provincial health coverage, you can't join the retiree pension plan. The retiree benefit plan. To be considered retired from the United Church, you must be receiving a monthly pension paid directly from the pension fund. So under the retiree plan, you would have life insurance, $3,000 flat benefit, and you would have access to the pensioner health and dental plan. Premiums are deducted from your monthly pension payment. So for single members in 2025, it's $114.78 per month. For family coverage, it's $231.51 per month, and taxes are applicable in some provinces. You can participate in the group benefits for pensioners plan once your pension payments commence if you terminate service with the United Church at or after age 55, and you receive an immediate or deferred annual pension from the church that is greater than 5% of the YMPE, the year's maximum pensionable earnings. And you had group insurance coverage at termination. Participation is optional. You need to decide whether you want to participate or not. Now, at retirement, because it's optional, you have 3 options to choose from. Participate, which is an irrevocable decision, or you could decline, which is also an irrevocable decision. Or a third one, you could waive, and that only happens if you have coverage under another employer's plan. That could be via your spouse or it could be via another pension plan or another group plan that you belong to from maybe another job that you may have. If that happens and then you lose that coverage in the future, you could then opt to join our pensioner health and dental plan. So to make it affordable for the members, the plan does not cover vision care, doesn't cover semi-private hospital coverage, and doesn't cover out-of-country coverage. That's sometimes one of the big reasons why retirees will opt for group coverage, and so it's something to consider. Reimbursement levels, maximums, and annual lifetime maximums change. So the best way to get information is to call Green Shield. On your card on the back, there's a phone number that you can use to get in touch with them, or the phone number is there and they can give you specifics. So if you die before retirement, this is back to the pension plan. Your eligible spouse may choose to get a monthly pension or a lump sum transfer to a registered retirement vehicle. If they transfer out a lump sum, that's the end of membership in the plan, and they wouldn't have access to pensioner health and dental coverage if they had wanted to. If you die after retirement, your spousal benefits are based on the pension options you chose. The spouse may continue with health and dental coverage if they choose to do so. Now, normal forms of pension. When the time comes to retire and fill out your paperwork, if you have a spouse, you have options. If you don't have a spouse, there's only one form of pension that applies, because the optional forms are for giving extra protection to a spouse. So the normal form for a single member is single life annuity with a guarantee of 15 years. And that means that first of all, it's 100% of your total credits at age 65, meaning there's no change to the amount shown on your annual statement. It's the normal form. And if you should die prematurely after only a few payments, the balance of the value of the remaining payments would go to your beneficiary or estate. Now, if you have a spouse, the normal form is a joint and 2/3 survivor with a 5-year guarantee. So that means the benefit amount, again, is the same as what was shown on your statement. After the guarantee period, your spouse gets 2/3 of the amount that you were getting every month. Before the end of the guarantee period, if you were to die shortly after retiring, hopefully none of us do, but it happens, then your spouse would get 5 years worth of payments that are not reduced, and then the reduction would happen after 60 months or 5 years. And so the 61st payment is when that reduction would begin. So if you want to provide more protection for your spouse, and it's the spouse at retirement, not any subsequent spouse if you should divorce during retirement and then remarry, or if they should die and you should remarry, any subsequent spouse is not eligible for this. A joint and level survivor, so with a guarantee period of 5 years. So that means that there would never be a reduction. It would always be 100% of what you started with, but what you started with would be a little bit less than what is shown on your annual statement, because you're basically purchasing protection for your spouse. Joint and 2/3 survivor with a 10-year guarantee. So then the extra protection for the spouse is a longer guarantee period rather than the absence of a reduction. And you could, if your spouse signs a waiver form and gives up their right to the joint and survivor pension, you could opt for a single life annuity with a guarantee of 15 years. The only way that this is probably advisable would be if your spouse has a health problem, or maybe sadly had a terminal illness or something. And so giving a joint and survivor pension for that person wouldn't have much value because you know it's not likely to come into play. So it would be more protection for your family if you had a single life annuity with a longer guarantee period. So, and the guarantee period, sometimes people get worried about this. It's a minimum number of payments that must be made to you and your beneficiaries, even if you die soon after starting your pension. If you're still living when the guarantee expires, nothing happens. Your payments continue just as they were, and they're not reduced. There's no bad effect. Everything continues just as it was. So TELUS Health EFAP, while you're still working for active employees, there is the EFAP available to you. They have their workhealthlife.com website, and you can link to resources that may help you with your retirement planning or with other aspects of life. Our Benefits Center website, take a look at the website. We add things all the time, especially on the newsroom page, and you may find some very interesting or valuable information there. Now, as a reminder, we already did go over this, but this is important. So consult a financial planner when you're coming up to retirement. 6 months before the retirement date, contact Service Canada. And if you don't want to start your old age security, you need to let them know if you're getting to be 65 and you don't want it to start at 65. 4 months before your retirement date, contact the Benefits Center. And these are the email addresses where you can contact us. And I know that a few of you are already contacting me, so that's great. I'll put something in motion, either get back to you or copy you on something that goes to the team by the end of this week. Because as I said, tomorrow is a lot of it is taken up by an important meeting. Now, do we have any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. My spouse is currently receiving a United Church pension, and she, I can't remember where she opted for individual or family. I'd have to check. But when I start filling out the form as to what I want for health and the health and dental benefits, like, do I choose, what's the difference if I choose individual or family?
Well, if you choose family, then you would have coordination of benefits. Like when you were both working, you would have had coordination of benefits then, similar to what you would have if she worked for a different employer.
Okay.
Whereas you go to the dentist, you're the first claimer because it's your appointment. And then whatever is paid under your coverage is one thing. And then it goes in again under her coverage, and you may end up with all of it paid that way. You may. There may still be something left to pay. So you would have coordination of coverage if you opted for family. But you, again, have to look at the difference in the cost and whether you feel like that's worthwhile, and whether she already has family coverage as well.
I'll have to check that.
And then the other thing is, it's unlikely, but you could also have other dependents apart from the two of you. Sometimes people raise their grandchildren. I mean, who knows, right?
Yep.
And then it might be more important to have coordination of coverage because we know that kids can sometimes have some expenses associated with them.
Okay.
It's an 18-year commitment. No, it's not. It's 35 or 40 or the rest of your life.
Never ends. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jane. I'm actually under the age of 40. And I'm wondering like how the pension funds are invested. And given that people also often start ministry later in life, and they're contributing for less years than an average pension plan, how this
Right.
affects the way that the plan is managed in comparison to other pension plans.
Well, I don't think the fact that people often have short service has a lot to do with how the pension plan is managed. But we have an investment committee that they are professional investment advisors to other plans or investment managers. And they volunteer their time to work helping out our plan. And so they help to make decisions as to which funds or securities to invest in. And we also have some guidelines associated with responsible investing. We have some prohibitions, like we don't buy any kinds of investments involved with armaments, gambling, or what's the third one?
Pornography, probably.
Pornography, I believe it is, yes. At one time there was alcohol, but that's been dropped. And we try to be very mindful of mitigating climate change, or mitigating would sound like impact investing, which is not what we do, but we engage with companies and also for social justice, like decent work. Some companies have split shifts, and it really is very difficult for their employees. So through SHARE, we get involved in engagement with the companies in which we invest. But if you want more information about that, there is some information on our website, and our 2024 annual report will be posted shortly, and there's a section in it about that.
Okay, thank you. And just a quick follow-up with that. I've received the pension statement once a year in the mail. Is there a place online to view that
No.
for individuals?
No. We
Okay.
have to send you your pension statement. It's a requirement. You could consent to receive it electronically, but that's not something we've entered into at this point. And we don't keep them online, so that once we have our portal operational, you'll be able to find information that's specific to you on that portal. But that's not up and running yet.
And when do you anticipate that will happen?
We anticipate by the end of the year.
Okay,
It may not
thank
be your
you.
statement, but it'll be information about your own entitlements and your own personal information.
Thanks.
I'm glad to hear that there's someone here who was under 40, because that's something we're trying to encourage.
Hi, I have a question. My name is Kathy. And the question I have is regarding a lay employee working at my church. She does work the 14 hours. She is not a United Church member, but she is part of the plan according to your definition, because she does receive the pensions and benefits kind of stuff. Is there an option by the local church that they can still offer her 14 hours a week? Is there an option that she can be taken out of the United Church benefits to go into another package deal with a different company, as opposed to the United Church benefits plan?
Well, the benefits plan is not the same as the pension plan. I mean, they're
Okay, yes.
often taken together, but do you mean like she has a spouse with coverage under another plan?
This particular individual does not, but is it a requirement that because she works for the United Church that she has to be part of the benefit plan of the United Church?
I'm not on the benefit side, but I believe that in order to not be a member of the benefit plan, you have to opt out, and in order to opt out, you have to have coverage under another plan. There's a reason for that, because over the years, there have been cases where someone in the past, when they were allowed to opt out and they did not have coverage, and then something catastrophic happened and they really needed coverage. And we wanted to help out. So we don't want that situation to come up. So if she doesn't have other coverage, then she needs to participate. And the pension plan is mandatory for anyone who works 14 or more hours. There's no
Because of
opting
the-
out.
Yeah, because of the 14 hours. If there was less than that, it would be totally different.
Stephanie's just put something up here that if you're an active employee, you cannot opt out of the core benefits. However, you may waive participation in the health and dental part of the benefits. If you have another privately sponsored plan, that's what I said, another plan though. It does not save any premiums because the core benefits are accessed or assessed
Assessed.
as one benefit fully paid by the employer.
Okay.
So, yeah, and the fact that she's not a member of the church has nothing to do with
Nothing
it.
to, but it's because she's under contract as part of her work with the church.
Contract, when you say that, do you mean this temporary contract?
It's a 2-year contract.
Yeah, well, that's too long. If it were like a couple of months, that would be different. But no, she needs to participate.
She needs to, okay.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. Are there any further questions? Okay, it seems like we've come to the end of our session today. I hope you enjoyed it and that you found it useful. And if you have any questions that you would like to ask me on an individual basis about specific issues, then please send me an email. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm trying to get that
Bye.
last part
Thank
written.
you.
so-
You're very welcome.